K K K K R R R R O O O O S S S S U U U U S S S Krosus dance.
Yeah, this is pretty much a stand and pound on a boss's foot kind of fight. Although I think we only have this sort of waist high or something. So use your own imagination as to what we're doing. So.
I kissed an orc and I liked it. The taste of his Bulgur chapstick. I kissed an orc just to try it. I hope my ally friends don't mind it. It felt so wrong, it felt so right. Don't meet up in love tonight.
Hey everybody, welcome to Lion's Pride Tavern podcast number 41. Tonight, as usual, we are going to talk about our weekend's raid, which was spectacular.
Woohoo!
And we'll talk about the KKKKRRRROOOSSSSUUUUSSS Krosus dance.
Wait, can you spell that again?
But before all that, let's start off with introductions. I'm your host, Fafford. I play a Dwarven Beastmaster Hunter in the awesome game World of Warcraft. Next up is Jobui.
Hi, I'm Jobui. I play a Worgen Frost Mage.
And Lorelei.
Hi, it's Lorelei, your Night Elf Fury Warrior.
Next up is Epistle.
Drenai Protection Paladin. That's what I play.
And Tapachino.
Hey, it's Tapachino, your Night Elf Restoration Druid.
Well, okay, so Epistle just said that he plays it. Does anybody live by their alter ego there?
No.
Well, maybe a little bit.
I knew Tap would.
Tapachino just bought a motorcycle, her first one.
Yay.
In real life, that is. And she found out that, or I found out that, the name Tap is available as a license plate in my state of New Hampshire.
Nice.
So I am very pleased to announce that we have a Tap motorcycle out in the real world.
So
Nice.
she's going to belong
That's
to the Lion's Pride Tavern biker gang.
That would be really cool. Yes, it
Wouldn't
would.
Have a big leather jacket with our logo on it.
Well, if people want to donate to let me purchase something like that, I would be glad to get it. But other than that, Tapachino will be riding safely with the proper gear and following the proper motorcycle laws and motorcycle rules of the road.
And
And
that's a good thing.
unfortunately, won't be able to take off at flight points and fly in the air.
You know, I think I would play up, like my Jobui alter ego. If I had like a cool like cosplay thing that was anywhere near me, but all the cool cosplay, events are like 1,000 miles away from where I live, and I just don't have that kind of time to travel.
Yeah, how many
Yeah.
people do you have in your town?
11,000, I think, roughly.
Yeah, it's huge.
I literally live in the middle of America, like the center of America, the geographical center of America is
North
like,
America.
of North. I think it's. I don't know if it's North America or if it's the United States, but it's like 15 miles from my house, and so yeah, I live in the middle of nowhere.
Well, you live in the middle of somewhere.
Yeah, of everything really.
Yeah.
I do
So
look
it's all
around
an
the bike, and I don't think I can fit a staff on it, but I am looking to see where I can strap on a pool stick.
I liked in Guild chat, or actually Raid chat the other day, Jobui's idea for an alternate license plate for you. The PWN, but it was probably taken.
Yeah. Well, because that would match the motorcycle, the Meccano chopper, and wow.
Yeah, then
And
life would imitate gaming.
Yeah, it would
Why-
be exceptionally cool if she had like an automatic fold-out sidecar. That'd be really cool.
That would be kind of cool.
You could get a
I
logo
did contemplate a plus sign, Tap plus sign, being a healer, and my bike is actually red. It's like a scarlet color. But I guess I got a little bit downvoted with the family and with some of our guild mates to go with just the tap because I am tap. For 10 years, I've been tap, and that's what we'll go with.
Tap works. I didn't figure they'd let you have just a 3-letter license plate, though. But I suppose it's a motorcycle.
It is, and you can have up to 5 letters or numbers or combination of both. So if it's available up to 5, then, you're good to go.
I'm sure it's a cost-saving measure.
I wish. You still have to pay for it every
Oh,
year,
that's true.
which I just
I mean,
don't get.
Just the government doesn't have to pay as much when there's only 3 letters.
I wish.
You still pay the same.
Yeah, exactly.
You do, one way or another.
All right. Well, let's jump right into it. Let's see how we did this weekend's raid. Lorelei. Just kidding.
It went really well because I know you switched it out. I wasn't ready.
Didn't miss a beat.
She did.
Well, I won't go into as much detail. I'm also sick, so I may just sort of fade out every now and then. It went really well. We got Krosus down on heroic, and everybody was doing what they were supposed to do, and the boss went down very quickly. We didn't even have to get to the very last bit of the bridge, from what I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are correct.
I think we had one piece left.
Yep.
So, and normally we've gotten down to, well, we had 2
Last
pieces.
little bit.
Yeah, the last little bit.
And then we're all
So-
trying to step on the edge with our tippy toes so nobody blows us up.
Yeah, there was no panic moment at the end of that boss.
And I think that's what's really helping is that I can see too that people are starting to just be very calm about it, and they know what they're doing, and that'll carry into the other 2 bosses that we have to do. But yeah, everybody's really getting focused on what they have to do and doing it right, and that's a good thing.
Well, I do know that there was a little panic in a few people's voices when they went, "Is somebody calling this one?"
At the beginning,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because we
I
normally
think-
have, was that Spiffy that calls it?
Yeah, and I forget what he said, why he wasn't calling it right at first.
It's something to do with his mic.
Yeah, something to do with his mic was muted or something.
But then there was this sigh, and everybody's like, "Oh, good, he's calling."
I'm gonna have to look. Yeah, but they've got to start learning to look.
I wasn't gonna
it's
call
not
it.
that hard.
I mean, I think at this point we know what to do. It's just having that extra sense of security, I guess, with that, voice in your ear.
I say, kick off the training wheels and ride free.
All right, so we'll touch on Krosus a little more. I was just trying to throw a little monkey wrench into the gear cog here. Jobu, you want to give us a rundown on what we did this weekend for the entire raid?
All right, so we started off trying Elisand on the first night, and we did a few pools, and we started to make a little bit of adjustment in our strategy on that. But ultimately, it didn't seem like it was going to go right at that moment. We needed to change up some things, maybe get a little bit more gear or something. Mostly a change in strategy, I think, is what was required. But so we decided to go back and just do the other bosses as normal. I think we spent about 45 minutes or something trying Elisand before we called it and went back to take on Scorpirion, and we blew through Scorpirion, Chromatic Anomaly, Trilliax, and Spellblade, and then I think that's where we stopped, was after Spellblade. And then the next night, we came back, we took down Krosus, clean as a whistle. I think our cleanest kill yet, actually, on Krosus, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
We got Star Augur down on the first night, too. So we did Spellblade and then Star Augur. Second night, we went to Krosus, Tichondrius, High Botanist, and High Botanist was a really close call. There was 2 people alive at the end of that fight, but it went down, so I mean it counts. It's like horseshoes and hand grenades. So then we went back to Elisand because that was the only boss next we could go after, and we brought in a friend of epistles to give us a hand in that fight. A healer, Amma,
Amavera. Yeah,
Amavera.
He's run with us several times before. He enjoys our company. He's a high-end raider, but
Right, Mythic Raider.
yeah, he's done so much good stuff lately that he's doing something just sort of for fun. So he was
Sure.
hanging with us for the good times.
No,
Yeah.
and he was primarily a Mythic Raider, and so he had almost forgotten like what was necessary on Heroic, but he did give us some tips and some ideas of changes in strategy that really helped out in that fight. And to be honest, we were kind of on the road towards some of his tips. Like one of our last pulls, or our last couple pulls, we started heroing at the beginning of that fight. But he said that was basically essential, and there was a couple of other little tips here and there that he gave us that really helped push it over the edge. I think it was about 2 or 3 pulls on that we attempted, and got Ellison down for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that close. I mean, we had most of the crew up. I think there was like 2 people down at the end of that fight.
One of them was me.
Yeah,
I had a really hard time with rings.
We have to sacrifice
Yeah.
a healer.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Tap found out she likes balls, but she doesn't like rings.
Yeah, rings are tough for Tapachino.
Well,
Well, in this
the
case, rings
commitment.
and balls, but
So
No, he was
But-
awesome. It was great to have him.
Yeah.
His advice was great. He wasn't like, and pardon my expression, but he wasn't a snob about it. He was really, decent and say, hey, we do this and we do that. And it was awesome to have him there.
yeah, it was a big help. And like I said though, I think we were on that path. It would have taken us longer to get to that point, I think, without
Yeah.
his input. But we were definitely on the path that he was prescribing to us, and that he was suggesting. And but yeah, everybody did a really good job. And I think it was a really successful raid, easily our best so far, especially with our next week being our last week in Nighthold.
Well, and
Oh,
we
boy.
went and did a poll on Gul'dan too.
Yeah, we did do a poll on Gul'dan. We did after that, yeah. And I think we got it down to like 66%. But it was the first time seeing it with the new big ad and stuff, and first time in Heroic, and so I don't feel too bad about only getting to 66% on that first poll.
Well, no, and we only had like 10 minutes left of raid time, so it wasn't like we had
Yeah.
a lot of time to work with it
No, we didn't
or
have-
even talk about it.
No, we said there's a big ad that has to go down fast, and that's the only thing we can tell you about it that's new, and we're going to just do it. All right, let's pull. And it was literally that much of an explanation.
But we didn't do bad. I mean,
No.
66%. And there was a couple other little changes that we talked about on the fly on it, but not a lot, nothing really big. I bet next week we're going to have 2 full days of pulling Gul'dan, so we can get our achievement, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what we took a vote and decided we'd extend the lockout and see if we can get that AOTC ahead of the curve for that. And if it requires 2 nights, it might not. There's not a whole lot of changes to the Gul'dan fight, and I don't think it'll take long for the group to change up to Heroic and get him down.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
good.
especially doing it 2 nights too. I'm sure we'll probably get him on the first.
Yeah, and typically we don't do that. We don't as they say, bang our heads against a boss. Because we want it to remain fun and stuff like that. But it's the last night of Nighthold, so I think it's worth it.
Yeah. Lorelei,
Yes.
Ellison. So you run with another group.
Mhm.
Did we make the I mean, obviously we got it down, but I mean, were some of those changes, are you going to be able to take those back to your group, or is that what you kind of do?
Yeah, that's just pretty much the way we run it. People just have to be aware that they need to have a blue orb to be behind when the rings come out. You always have to have one of those up. I did like that he keeps track of the Amava. I'm sorry, I said his name wrong. Keeps
Emma.
track of how many rings are going to come out. We usually just get that down quick enough that we don't worry about having lots of them. I think we get the 2 at the beginning, and we get another one, and maybe something that we do automatically, and I just don't realize that we've done it. But yeah, we don't really have any trouble getting her down on heroic.
Okay. Yeah, because I did not realize, and we can talk about Ellison for a little bit here. I did not realize that as you go through the phases, whatever you did in phase 1, as far as the rings, the Arcanetic rings, will mimic in the next 3 phases.
Well,
So,
it's not just that though. I mean, it's the singularities that go on the ground go to phase 2, and the rings from phase 1 go to phase 2, and then they also go to phase 3, and then the orbs and the placement of where those orbs drop and the number of orbs you get in phase 2 carries over to phase 3. So the things kind of build up from over the phases.
So let's talk about a couple of the changes. I mean, we assign players to the orbs. We basically nuked down, we double potted, we blew everything right at the first phase to get her, whatever it is, pushed over.
So her.
Yeah, get her pushed over. So we didn't have the same, more rings because,
Yeah,
like I said, I didn't realize it. So
yeah, we got three sets of rings in the first phase before we pushed her over to the second phase, which gives us a grand total of, what is it, like 9 more rings or something?
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, like 6 additional rings. It's 9 rings the entire
total,
fight.
yeah.
So it was the 3 rings in the first phase, and then 3 rings second, 3 rings third phase, to take her down. So in total, that's only 9 rings to deal with, which is great. That makes it a lot easier.
And that was the thing we didn't realize going into it, was that you could push her over that edge, to reduce the number of rings that we would get. And that was a big eureka moment, I think.
I think another thing that helped there too was, that we would blow the first blue guy down, and then we would get the second blue guy down, so we had another blue orb to hide behind for the second set of rings, and then the third one, at that point we ignored the ads entirely to just burn the boss.
Yeah.
Which, that focuses the DPS, because a lot of times, we were focused on getting that next ad down. So, that pushed us out further before, whereas we were refocused on the boss instead of the ads at that point, which helped push her over.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Epistle, any thoughts?
I hadn't been there the day before, so I didn't have the warm up. But other than just sort of the pickup of the pace, it's back to a level of chaos that I enjoy in a fight. But it did seem to me that we were not all working together, and that's something that, were we to do this for a few more weeks and make it part of our progression on an ongoing basis, would really have to be tighter in terms of our positioning and our running to get around those rings when they came in.
Yeah, I noticed that, when we got the first blue anomaly down and everybody was working at the second, I stayed over at the first one, and it worked out great until, with the first set of rings. Then the second set, there's 2 rings that come out. One, and then a little bit later, another one comes out almost immediately. That first blue anomaly would go away, and I died a couple of times on that. So I learned, okay, because I'm ranged, I stay back. You gotta flow with the group. You gotta get over there with everybody else. So it's actually a lot easier and when we finally got her down, I found that it was a lot easier just to stay with the group. Don't worry about it. Stay within a close range.
And to that effect, I mean, on that second blue ad, well, you were staying behind, trying to stay near the first blue one to get those, to try and dodge those second set of rings. I immediately went to the blue one on the far side and just started unloading as hard as I could on that one, because I was trying, I could see when the timer was coming for the next rings, and I was watching that ad's health and just trying my best to push it over just before those rings would come out, and that's what happened both times. that we got to that point was we got that ad to pop just before that second set of rings came out, and so we were able to push that ad down quick enough before that second group of rings and hide behind that one instead. And then I heard you over on the other side going, "Oh no!" As, and I saw the blue ball disappear, and I was like, "Oh, he's over there." Oops.
Well, so when you take that second one down, once you take that one down, does the other one disappear? Is that what happens,
No.
or it ran out of time?
Yours ran out of time, but there's not enough time on it. There's really just not enough time on it to stay up for both of the rings.
Yeah.
On that second one, regardless of what you do.
Yep. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm with you, Tap. I don't like the rings either, but it's I found it a lot easier if I switch to almost a top-down view when the rings come out, so I can kind of maneuver around through.
Well,
But-
they're also doing a tricky thing. They're not going in straight towards the middle. They are sort of shifting off to the side, I guess towards where Elisant is. And that was new for me last night when we did it, and I figured it out soon enough. But it does kind of throw you for a little loop because again, you have a level of prediction. You expect how it's gonna the fight's gonna unfold, and then you get a big surprise that they're not going exactly where you thought. So once I almost ran through a sequence of about 5 or 6 of them all at the same point because I thought it was going to be a safe space, and I stopped myself just in time.
Well,
Yeah.
that's my problem is it's that second set. We get the first one down, it's between the pink and the blue, and I'm totally off track. Like when we don't have one of those bubbles, I'm like, oh my god! Especially for the second, set, I'm not sure. I look at the group and it's like everyone seems to know where they're going, and I try to follow them, and I realize that, oh wait a minute, maybe I'm not supposed to follow this group, and chaos for me. I just have a really tough time with that second set.
Yeah.
The motion on that to me seems to be, like I get in front of the blue one, and I face the outside wall. Right, I'm back to the boss. The boss is on the other side of the room, can't even see it. I face the outside wall for the direction that the ring is coming from, and then I watch as it hits the blue ball to see which of the sections is gonna slow down, and then I look for where there's a gap forming, and as soon as I see a gap forming in the ring, I start moving into that gap, and then I get just outside of where the ones that are going by are going slow, and then I kind of try and follow them a little bit back towards the front of the blue balls because I know the second group is going to come through real soon. So it's kind of like I'm on the side of the blue ball, the orb, the shield thing, and then I just kind of slide myself back around into the front so that the next set of rings can come, and it's not easy. I mean, I have a failsafe being a mage that I can blink through the rings if I screw up. Most classes don't have a failsafe for that, but like there was one time I caught myself outside away from where the blue, I wasn't going to make it back, so I just blinked through the ring to the other side, and I was safe that way. But yeah, that's basically what I try and do is just look for that gap, move out just far enough to get through the gap and let the ring go by, and then I move back into position, ready for the next one.
Well, I'm speaking from experience when I say jumping doesn't help.
Yeah,
no.
I've tried running through it. I mean, on normal you can jump over it, for that first time, and I'm like, well, I'll try that, and sometimes it works, but it brings your health down really low, and I'm like, okay, I'm watching. I know I go through that stuff, but I guess when the bubble disappears, I get totally lost. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do.
Well, the bubble shouldn't disappear. You must have been at the first bubble when that group of 2 rings come through, because we had all moved to the new ad, and we're getting it down, and that bubble popped up right before. So we're already standing in position. Most of us that were DPSing it, we're already in position. So when that bubble comes up, we're already on the correct side of it from where the ring is coming. So we're just, it comes up and it slows the ring down just before it hits us.
So basically, it's like you go through the first one and immediately start running towards the second bubble.
No, well, there won't be a second bubble. right? There's going to be the blue bubble that's first up from the first ad that we kill. We dodge the first ring, and then from that point, we'll have to kill the one that makes the pink bubble, and we get our little haste buff. And then as soon as the next blue ad comes up, it'll come up somewhere else in the room. Then everybody should immediately move to that second blue ad, and then stand like inside, like it should be the wall, the blue ad, and then the group. And the group is like standing there. We're killing the blue ad, and then when the blue ad dies, it makes a bubble, and we're already in position, ready for the ring to come at that point.
Yeah,
Well-
Tap, your problem is you're following Fafford.
Yeah,
That's your
probably.
first mistake.
That'll do it.
But I was like, oh yay, we finished, and we're gonna go to Gul'dan, and I'm like, oh, but I want her headpiece.
Yeah,
But I
well,
don't want
get
to
it,
do
though,
this
did ya?
again.
and
It
yeah,
gets
I
easier.
know. What's that?
It gets easier.
It does, yeah. Like all the fights do. But the other
Yeah.
thing to consider too is,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
we are going to go after Gul'dan, and if we get Gul'dan down pretty fast on next raid, on the opening night of raid, then I mean we'll go back through and kill the other bosses. We might get back to Elisand, and you might have another chance to go at it. But if we don't, I mean you won't be fighting that fight, because the next week we're going to be going into Tomb of Sargeras. We won't be coming back to
yeah.
Nighthold. You won't even
Yep.
need that headpiece. The gear we're going to get
I
out of the
know.
tomb is better.
Yeah, the
So-
first green that drops there is going to replace your legendary. So
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That is true.
So yeah, there is that. I'm actually really looking forward to that, getting into the tomb.
Oh, I can't wait. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Well, I really love our learning process. I mean, it's sometimes a bit of a struggle, but I really like seeing these new bosses and trying out new mechanics and seeing these new fights. I think that's a lot of fun. And so for me, that's like one of my favorite things in the game is getting into new raids. I love getting them down, figuring them out, but I feel like while we're not going into Mythic and stuff, and there's more puzzles we could have solved and whatnot, I'm kind of tired of seeing the same old bosses every week. I'm ready for some new ones.
Plus, I mean, we work so well together and we learn so well together that it, gives us that incentive to, move on to bigger and better things, I think.
Yeah, it is a positive learning environment for the fights. And I like that we're doing this, and anticipating, new content's coming out, so we'll all shift into there. And I'm guessing that we're all not going to be super keen looking at all the websites and reading all the information and PTRs. Like, no, we'll all go in there knowing we're all entering at the same level. We're going to figure this out together. Some of us might have a little more background information, but it's we're going to give each other space to learn it as we go in it, not feel like we have to get it perfect on the first go round.
Oh no, I mean, it would be great if we get a couple of bosses down or something, the first raid. But I have no expectations about how far we'll get. I haven't even looked at the videos yet. I will be looking at the videos this week, but trying to get some strategy down for us.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of fun learning together.
that we do. All right, so let's start talking about dancing with the bosses. This week we're going to talk about Krosus. Jobui.
All right. Well, from a ranged perspective, what I do is that I know that the bridge is going to break in particular spots. We usually mark the bridge off at about where they're going to break, but over time I've also gotten used to where that happens. So I position myself right at the edge of the break so that I don't really have to move forward or backwards a whole lot from when the bridge does break. And I open up the fight with blowing all of my big cooldowns, my big damage cooldowns. Just we hero right at the beginning and just hit him as hard as I can. Then, I watch for when he raises his arm up to shoot a beam down, and then I move. I also stand right in the middle. That's where I start, is right in dead middle of the bridge. Because when he raises his arm up, I just have to take 2 steps to the right or 2 steps to the left to dodge that beam. I don't have to move very far. So I just take a couple steps to the right or to the left when the beam comes, and then as soon as the beam goes by, I just move a few more steps to the opposite side, just so I'm ready for the next beam that's going to come along. I keep damaging the boss, and then if I get a little green triangle above my head and a warning from DBM telling me that I am carrying the ball, so to speak, then I run all the way back. Actually, I blink all the way back for the most part, but I move quickly to as far back on the bridge as I can get before that bomb goes off so I don't damage people. And then I try and get back as quick as I can so I can get my damage back on the meters. And then I wait. I just keep damaging the boss, keep attacking, keep dodging those beams until the swirlies come out. And when the swirlies come out, I try and find a swirly as quick as I can, and then I stand there in the swirly. If I'm out of range of the boss, I'm out of range of the boss. I just stand there and I wait and I watch. And if any swirlies are missed, then an ad will come up, and I do my best to interrupt and kill that ad as fast as I can, or ads, as the case may be. And then I move back into position and go back to the other cycle of attacking the boss, dodging the beams, and standing in the swirlies. And I do that the whole fight.
Yeah, very cool. Lorelei, from a melee perspective.
Melee is pretty easy on this fight. You stand in the middle too, because you've got to see where that beam is coming from. And you also have to worry about not standing in either of the circles where slam is going to happen, because that will one-shot you. So I just try to keep myself in the middle, pay attention to my timer, try to get in as many swirlies. If they're overlapping, I like to take the overlapped ones. Help out if there's any little ads that come out, and then just make sure I don't fall off that bridge when it breaks. I heroic leap to the back, run up, wait for the boss, and start all over again. I think it's a very easy fight for melee to do.
What about when the swirlies come out and we miss some? Do you guys go out and try to take those down, or do you keep concentrating on the boss and let range take them out?
Well, I know I go after them. I can't speak for everybody, but I mean, I'll go after any of those things to help out, especially if
Okay.
they're close. If there's a lot in the back, I'll turn around and go out into the back and help them get those down.
Awesome. And Epistle from tanking.
Yeah, this is pretty much a stand and pound on a boss's foot kind of fight. Although I think we only have this sort of waist high or something. So use your own imagination as to what we're doing. So I just stand where the slam is going to hit, and other than when he's about to do the beam, I pretty much stay in position. I just need to work on a couple things, a taunting back and forth mechanic, pretty standard stuff. And also just making sure I'm using my cooldowns to mitigate the damage for slam. Or from time to time, if it looks like one of those orbs is going to cause some party damage, I do that as well. And other than that, that's about it. I will shift a little bit around to try to catch a pitch if one's coming by. So sometimes I take a couple steps up, maybe a little to the right or to the left, and sort of negotiate with the melee. But otherwise, it's a fairly straightforward sort of fight. And of course, I've got my charger, so my speed boost. So when the bridge is going to go, I kind of stay until just about the last minute and then charge back. And I have to say, I've not yet fallen into the water, so I think I'm timing it pretty well.
Yeah, because when the bridge breaks, you got to be off that. Tapachino, healing perspective.
So healing perspective for Krosus is, we have to follow all of the same rules, I guess you could say, or, damage
Dance
that
steps.
Krosus does. The dance steps, thank you. We want to make sure we stay out of the path of the big beam. From a healing perspective, I would throw down my effervescence, which gives some healing to whoever's in that circle. That's our healing circle for druids. I usually put it down in the tank area. When the orb is called and the person is running up to the corner, I usually throw down an effervescence there as well, just to make sure that, if you don't get there, if you're low in health, that you have some, healing that can help you.
So you throw it back where the orb is going to explode, or you throw it up by the people
I
to protect them?
I throw my healing circle down where the orb is supposed to explode, so that if somebody is there, well, they're always going to get there because we have a really good raid team, and we always do get to that place, and they have that extra healing. So
Okay.
usually there's always a healing circle down there. For the ads that come out, we all go into the circles, and me personally, I'll just go to the one that is closest because I still want to heal. I still want to be able to throw heals on the tanks and on the raid. I don't want to be running around and looking for a circle to stand in. And most of the time that works really well because we have good notice about that, and I'll just run, if I'm in the front, I'll run towards the back or towards the middle and make sure I'm near a circle. If there's several people around, I might go towards the edge so that we have a little bit of extra heals because they'll start throwing the heals down when I get there. And then when we have the breakaway, obviously we all run to the back and we run back towards the front. I mean, we do the same moves that everybody else does, but we're going to throw our tranquilities down when there's big slams and people aren't, getting out of the way soon enough, or, we're getting to the end of the fight where, there's a lot of, especially in Heroic, there's a lot of damage being done. We stay with the rest of the group and we do our healing AoEs. We do our rotation, and basically it's just like anyone else. We just do our rotations, we do our heals, we try to keep everybody going, and we beat the boss down, and there we go.
All right. Yeah. Very cool.
Alright.
Now, one thing I got a question for you. So, if somebody does fall into the water, is it true you can't get him with that piece of the bridge breaking? You have to wait till it breaks in order to see them to be able to res them, or have you been able to res them from the water at all?
When the fight is going on, we haven't really been able to res them.
I think you're able to.
But that could be the spec that the healer has. Where we mostly have resto druids and very little other healer types, we don't typically are able to get the person out of the water. Other specs, maybe a priest, that can grab them, or may be able to do it, but I'm not sure about how that works. Usually
I don't
we're
know
in
if
the
they
middle
can
of the
grab
fight,
dead
and
people.
I think it's like
yeah,
falling
yeah,
off of
like
Gul'dan's
if we
platform.
try,
you
we
can't get 'em.
can't get them up.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure.
We do
I
try.
heard. Yeah, I'd heard
I think
that.
it's. I thought it was line of sight, and it's very rare that you actually can get line of sight or range,
Yeah.
and so it's just a really tricky thing to do.
And especially with that fight, there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of running around. There's a lot of going back and forth, and trying to find that person. And usually they're, near the boss. So you're not gonna, want to run up there and try to find them when maybe the bridge is breaking or, the beam is going off. So it's really tough if you go into the water. If you can avoid getting jumping in the water. I'm sorry, not jumping in the water, but landing in the water by avoiding the bridge breaking. That's you have a much more better chance of survival or for revival.
Right. Now, what's the glitch that we ran into when reviving? Was it the soul from the warlock that if we put it on somebody and they came back, they fell through the bridge?
No.
Yes.
It was the lock closet that when we tried to summon people on some part of the bridge, the lock closet would drop them straight into the water and they would just die.
That's what it was.
Yeah. But then they ran to the back of the bridge and put the lock closet up there, and then it didn't happen to them when they did it back there.
Yeah, so it probably has to do with the programming of the breakaway bridge pieces.
Something. I don't know,
Yeah.
but there was much lamentations as he got. I got summoned. I fell through the bridge. What the heck? Yeah.
And there was much amusement by others.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty funny for us. I mean,
For the ones not under the bridge, yes.
right.
Oh yeah. What are you doing under there? I can't reach you.
Well, I just remember we summoned one person, and we summoned him, and he showed up, and then he died, and we're like, what the hell was that? What'd you die from?
What
that
the
was
hell
funny.
happened?
All right, so did anyone go boating?
I
did not.
did.
I forgot. So tell us
Me
about it.
too.
Well,
Tell us about it, Lorelai.
you go out there and you have to talk to somebody on the big boat that's sitting out in Thousand Needles. And what you have to do is you had to go out and visit other boats that are in, I don't know if you want to call it a lake or a river or what now. And you get quests will pop up as you talk to different people. And once you finish a series of quests, what you get is let me see this. It's in my bag. I was a little bit let down by what you got at the very end. You get a small boat that allows you rapid movement along the water surface, but it's only good for 7 days.
Oh,
Oh, it's
So I've
only
got
good
4
for.
days left, so I better get out there and sail around with it.
Oh, you can only. It's only good for 7 days.
I know.
Yep.
I thought it would be like a toy. I thought, okay, oh, this is cool. I get my own boat because I've always wanted a boat since we had garrisons in Draenor and they were talking about submarines. And I said,
Yeah.
oh my God, that's the best mount ever is a submarine.
Wouldn't that be
And then
fun?
how
Actually,
disappointing that it was a,
you can
not.
you can make your very own submarine. I know how to. You have to have the right legendary and the right mount, but you can make your very own submarine. You need
No,
the.
that's not going to happen. I can't get the one legendary I
I,
want.
I thought you were
You
going
need
to
the
need a
shield ring. I think it's a ring that gives you like a bubble shield around you. And then you need the world spinner mount. It's made
Oh,
by
that one, yeah.
engineers.
I got
And then
that.
while you're sitting in that mount, when that bubble comes up, it looks like you're in a little
Oh, a
submarine
little
under the
submarine.
water.
Okay.
Yeah, you fly it under the water.
They
See,
had a
and-
big one floating around out there that you had to follow and pick up the tar or the grease that it was polluting. Because what you're doing is everything's gotten so polluted out there that you have to go pick up all the garbage. Which I thought, wait a minute, I thought this was a boat race. I have not raced anything. I'm picking up garbage. But
Well-
it was fun. I enjoyed it.
and the way the news read, it was like, oh, let's go out and go sailing and have a,
Mhm.
take your
You will.
cares away. And you're
Yeah.
out there, oh, since you're here, let's do a harbor
Let's pick up
cleanup.
garbage. Yeah.
You guys mind picking up some stuff while you're out there?
Yeah.
It's a bit
tar,
messy.
wood, put the mass back together. There was a little beach ball. You had to go out and this was like the flame in the fire event. You had to go kick the beach ball and keep it up in the air 10 times.
Hmm.
Which was hard because it's on the boat and you've got the mast and the sail right in the middle. So
Well-
many times I jumped off the boat trying to get to it and I got it. But yeah, I thought boat race was kind of a weird name for it because unless I ran around with somebody, you couldn't race a boat.
Well, wasn't it just boat days? Isn't that what they called it, or was it called boat race?
Let me see. So
I thought it
it's
was
still on the
1,000.
calendar. Oh, they took it off the calendar.
Yeah, I think it
That's
was just boating day.
Oh,
the way
that
well,
it
was.
I
Yeah.
was hoping for a race. So well.
Do you have there is sort of a boat in the game. Do you have the fishing raft?
I do. Yeah, I use that all
Well,
the time.
Well, that's kind of a boat of
Yeah.
of a kind.
That's
then
one of the
there's-
better
Ish.
mounts that they put in the game.
Okay.
I like that one.
There's
6
also-
logs strapped together does not make a boat.
Well, for some people it does. If you're on a deserted island, that's a hell of a boat. So, but there's also the ice raft, which is a chunk of ice that you can float around in on the water and fish from as well.
Oh, yeah, one of my tunes has that.
I've never
Yeah.
seen that one.
Yeah, I've
Forgetting
got
to
that
put it
one.
on my thing.
So where
On
do you
my
get that
bar.
one?
I think you get it from Pandaria. I think.
Oh, really?
No, I think that's this expansion.
You sure?
Yeah, because the raft is Pandaria. You got that. You got that. From
Yeah,
Matt
the raft
Hagel.
you get from
That was the
Pandaria.
angler's rep.
That
But
was
I've
the
had-
angler's quest, right? Yeah.
I'll have to look it up because I've got both. I'll have to look up where I got the other one.
God, I was
Pull
thinking,
up my
with
maps
ice,
here
you'd
and
almost think
see.
Northrend.
Yeah.
Well, they
No,
don't show up
we
in
didn't have
mounts.
anything in Northrend.
They're
Pretty sure
they're
it was
like,
this one. Oh God, I've got 200 mounts to go scroll through.
no, it's not a mount. It's Bipsy's Bobbing Berg, and it's not even a toy. And
So everybody's got to get it.
Absolutely no.
Oh, well, I
yeah.
know I didn't have it on this tune.
Yeah, and it's not a mount. It's just an item you keep in your bag and you can click on. And they didn't even make it a toy. But it's Bipsy's Bobbing Berg, and it's a 525 fishing requirement, which I believe that's Pandaria still.
Well, I think you just have to be that high to get it. You can't be like a level 1 fisherman and use it, because you can't use the raft either.
Is it considered a mount?
No, it's not
Nope.
a mount. It's
Pretty
it's
sure it was this. I
Toy?
think I had a tune get it in Suramar, but maybe
No,
you can get
it's-
it anywhere.
No, it's Nat Pagel, Angler's
Really?
Quartermaster from Karasang Wilds, in
Huh.
Pandaria, 800 gold.
Oh, well, guess
Yeah.
who's going out there?
There you
called?
go.
Bipsy's Bobbing Berg.
I don't remember him ever having that. That must be new.
I don't know
guess
that I
so.
want to grind
Fitsies
that
or
rep.
Bitsies or Pitsies?
Bipsy's. It's Bipsi. Bipsy's Bobbing Berg. And I've had it for a long time. And I'm pretty sure I bought it like way back in Pandaria days.
So is it got charges or just a use
No,
on use?
it's just on use, and there's no cooldown on it. So you could
Huh.
it works just like the raft does, except for the raft is now a toy.
I'm really surprised they haven't made that a toy or a mount.
Yeah.
Yeah, this should be a toy, like the raft is. But I don't even use them anymore because I have the legendary fishing pole, which allows me to just legendary fishing pole lets me walk on water. Although I guess I still use the raft sometimes, but now I can just fly from position to position instead of like hitting my spacebar to make the raft go faster.
FYI, update to our fans listening, the Bipsy's Bobbing Berg is only available to mages. Well, as you know, we sent out a challenge to the Goblin Goldcast, and they did not get their tunes ready for this last weekend. So I'm hoping, and I'm going to push on them this week, and here's the push. They're listening. I know they do. We want to get you in the last raid so we can at least, you don't have to get all the other bosses. We just want to get Ghoul Dan down for you. So
That's a
come
good one to
die.
throw. Just throw them into the deepest end of the pool.
Well, they're Horde. They're playing Alliance tunes. So, if we're gonna, inaugurate them into the Alliance world, we got to show them how tough we are. Throw them right into the last boss.
Oh, for a second there, I thought you were saying that since they're Horde, that you would be happy to see them die a horrible death against Gul'dan.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, well, I got a surprise for them, but we'll talk about it after the podcast because we don't want them to know about it. They know something's coming, but they don't know what. All right, let's cue the music. It's time for Lorelei's Pet Battle Minute.
Hi, it's Lorelei again, and now we're going to finish up leveling our pet in the Mist of Pandaria. Head out to Half Hill and head west to Farmer Nisi. For this fight, you'll need a spawn of Onyxia, and they're very easy to pick up. They're out in the wild. Your leveling pet, and you can bring in any level 25 to fill in if needed. You're supposed to be able to bring in another leveling pet, like a level 1, but I haven't found a good place to put that in, so I'll work on that. You'll be up against the Sunflower first, so start off with Tail Sweep, followed by Liftoff. If you miss using Liftoff when the Sunflower's using its Solar Beam attack, just restart the fight. Continue with Tail Sweep, and the Sunflower won't be around very long. Next up is the Terrible Turnip. Use your Healing Flame, and then switch out to your level 20 leveling pet. The Turnip will use his dodge attack, so let your leveling pet take the damage. When the attack is over, switch back to your spawn of Onyxia and use Liftoff. Continue with Tail Sweep until the turnip is dead. Your last opponent is the Caterpillar, and he will use Burrow first. You must use Liftoff at this time so that you won't take damage when he reappears. Finish up with Tail Sweep until he's dead. If your leveling pet has only reached 24, use that leveling token I told you to bring with you and boost him up to 25. Don't forget to have your safari hat and both of your food buffs, and continue to level up those pets.
Awesome. And then there's...
Getting Deeps with Jobui.
Today's Getting Deeps focuses on range DPS combat mobility. Some ranged DPS classes and specs like Beastmaster Hunters have no real limitations on combat mobility. However, many others have very limited combat mobility. So here are a couple of techniques that I employ to try and get the most out of my DPS with a class with limited combat mobility. The first technique I call stick and move. What I mean by that is that I will look for opportune moments to change positions during a fight. Knowing the fight is essential for using stick and move because you're going to need to know when you can hold your position and when is a good time to reposition yourself and to where. So I'll continue casting my spells that require me to hold still, then quickly move to a pre-chosen position that I know I'll be able to hold in place for a while, and then continue my rotation. The time when I'm about to move brings me to my second technique, which I call run and gun. Most ranged DPS have some kind of instant cast spells. Some of those are just spells that can be cast on the run, like Fire Mage's Scorch, but usually the bigger damage ones come from procs, such as Frost Mage's Fingers of Frost or Brain Freeze. If you know you're going to have to move from one position to another soon, consider saving a couple of procs so that you can fire them off while you're moving from point A to point B. You can also try and time up a spell that generates procs more often to give you an edge during a long movement phase. As an example, I'll throw a frozen orb towards Trilliax when it jumps to the center of the room so I can generate Fingers of Frost procs, allowing me to instant cast Ice Lances while I'm running in a circle dodging the beams. Ideally, you should combine the stick and move and run and gun techniques together to keep your numbers up when movement is required. So work on those techniques and keep getting those deeps even while on the move.
Fantastic. And some more music.
What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking in a dress? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking in a dress?
So I discovered last week my theme music has a dress theme to it. I can't get away from that. I tried that when I was a mage. Okay, on to the meat of things. So what do you do when a tank messes up in a group that you're in? Well, I was in an LFR looking for raid this week and in one of my favorite fights, but I wasn't the tank. I went in as my healer. One of my favorite fights was Star Augur, and we got there. Things had been going well in the group, but a key piece of information was missing. This tank did not know that when they got the debuff, they had to run out, or the thing that must not be named would drop by the boss, making the boss invulnerable. With all the other stuff going on, that was somehow just a dynamic they hadn't figured out. Now, in LFR, you can only imagine what that created. So there was a lot of, if you know the term signal to noise, there was an awful lot of noise and not a lot of signal. Everything from people bad-mouthing the tank to name-calling to just straight-up rude behavior. And in all of that, there was a few of us trying to actually send the right signal, the right information, rather than trying to create all this noise and melodrama. When a tank messes up, or for that matter, when anyone's making a mistake, I always figure the best thing in a raid, whether it's typing in raid chat, whether it's talking in Vent or TeamSpeak or whatever it is you're using, it's really essential to find out what's the key concept that's missed and make sure that that's said. Fortunately, in our group, well, for one, the heals were amazing, so, the tank was kept up and the group was not going to die too soon. And it was LFR, so it wasn't too terribly tough. But there was 2 or 3 people who managed to get through that all that noise and make the statement of what needed to be done. Now, I've been in situations in an LFR where I haven't known all the mechanics, and if I'm having some trouble, I do look at raid chat to figure out what's going on. But when you have to sift through all kinds of nonsense and negativity, it's really hard to figure out what's the very simple thing you need to do to make the change. This is what I enjoyed about our raid this last week. People who were joining us were able to look at what the problem was and put it in a sentence or 2. Keep it simple. Here's the one thing to work on. So when you're in a group and there's a mess up from the tank or someone else, always try to think. Don't make some noise. What's the central signal? What's that one thing you need to say to improve the situation? And that's Come At Me a Tanking Minute.
Very cool. No, really, there was drama in an LFR
I know.
don't
Shocking.
believe it.
Shocking.
And
Unheard of.
insults and rude behavior? No way. Not in an LFR.
Mhm. Yeah, this late in the game.
And then there's some more music.
I need a healer. I'm holding up for a healer till the end of the run. They gotta be skilled and they gotta be calm and they gotta be second to none. I need a healer.
Hello, this is Tapachino with your Tap into the Healing Minute. On this episode, I'd like to change things around a bit and talk about DPS healing spells. You know, we've talked a lot about, what our healers do and what spells we use and our rotations and such. But we do know that some DPS specs have spells that can help to heal the raid. Your healers, just keep in mind your healers may or may not know that you have such an ability. So don't assume, that they do. You may be a warrior that can throw down some healing spells that can help, heal up your party. If your raid leader or your healing team doesn't realize that, don't wait for them to say, hey, why don't you throw that healing spell down? We could really use it. Feel free as a DPS with a healing rotation or a healing spell. Feel free as a DPS with a healing spell to throw down that heal when you see fit. Extra heals will always be welcome and you will never be just for it, believe me. Use it at your discretion and that may just be enough to keep those DPS and those tanks going for that big kill. And that is your Tap into the Healing Minute.
Well, I tell you, I always use my arrow of band-aids on everybody every chance I can get as a hunter.
Yeah,
I haven't heard of that ability.
I've done it. I've done it in a pinch.
Well, I was asked, whispered to this last raid by one of our warriors, and he said, hey, I've got this spell that will heal the raid. We were talking about our rotation, and he thought that maybe he should be getting into that rotation. And I didn't know that, there was that spec that could do that healing. So, upon conversations, we decided that, you know what? That's great as an extra heal. You don't need to be in the rotation. Do it when you wish. And, that'll just give us that extra power. People know their specs. You should know what your tune can do and when it might be wise, to use your spells. If not, ask. That's great. And it's nice to know that, people have these spells. But, don't worry about using something that, you might interfere because you won't. If you've got that spell, use it. If we're dying, it might just be enough to get that boss, keep people alive and get that boss down.
Very cool. It's WFN News, Warcraft Fafford News. The Command Center building is up at the Broken Shores, and it has the Forces of Order and War Effort on it this week. The weekly quest is Time Walking, Mists of Pandaria. Gotta go back and do those mops. WoW token prices are 130k in the States. Ouch. And the biggest news ever, patch 725 is live tomorrow. Now, I did hear a rumor that it's going to take all freaking day to patch, so you're not going to be able to play WoW on Tuesday, so don't even think about it. Just listen to the podcast a second time. Some of the changes they have in 725, there's a lot of class changes to some dungeons and raids. A couple of them I thought were really cool is on events. There's a new pet battle dungeon coming out. It's the Dead Mines. I talked to Lorelei about that a little earlier. And what I really found interesting is the Dark Moon Fair has a Forsaken band called the Blight Boar. And it's invaded the Dark Moon Fair. Every hour on the half hour, the band will rock out with a death metal tune. What you do is you battle the Metal Knights to earn achievements, consumables, and a monthly chance at a Brutal Helm or Killer Guitar Mace. That sounds awesome. Plus, other changes are to items, legendary items. The Legion companion app gets a few changes, some PvP changes, professions, and the UI gets an update. So if you haven't read about it, go to Icy Veins, go to Wowhead. They have a list of everything that changes in it, so you can go from there. And I just want to make a notable mention that all of our beautiful music is supplied by Charm. Please go visit her website and her YouTube channel. Links will be in the listing below in the description. I think that's about it, guys. We got everything covered for this week. We've approached our time. So thanks for coming, panel. Thanks, listeners. Please tell everybody you know if they want to listen to an awesome podcast and you think our podcast is awesome. Please let everybody know. Send them to our websites. We got, a Facebook page, facebook.com/Lions Pride Tavern. We've got a YouTube channel. Just go to search YouTube. Just search Lions Pride Tavern Podcast, and we should be the only one listed there. There's a lot of Lions Pride Taverns, but Lions Pride Taverns Podcast, right to us. Subscribe to that channel. Throw some likes down. Get some views out there. Our YouTube channel actually has Donna Bell. She's our featured digital artist. She does a tune or one of our characters she draws, and as you're listening to the podcast, you can watch her draw. So if you want to learn how to draw, you can watch her draw. Maybe get a few tips. But
She's
panel,
awesome.
yeah. Actually, and I have to mention this because his birthday's over, but Durog's birthday was this week, and we actually got a hold of Donna Bell and got her to draw something up, and
Awesome.
yep, just like you did, Epistle, for
Happy
Bronzebeard.
birthday, Drog.
Yep. We
Birthday.
had her sign it, and we're going to frame it for him and everything. So, yeah, he's all excited about it.
Dang,
So
I have to wait till March.
Exactly.
So, yeah, there's a good birthday idea, You got you listeners out there, you want something like that done? Donna Bell actually helps me run the Facebook page, so she sees all the incoming emails, texts, so comments. So if you want to get a hold of her and have her do a drawing for you, she'd be happy to. So, guys, thanks a lot for coming. Fans, thanks for listening. We'll see you all next week.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
folks.
See you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Charm. And Donna.
I kissed an orc and I liked it. The taste of his Bulgur chapstick. I kissed an orc just to try it. I hope my allied friends don't mind it. It felt so wrong, it felt so right. Don't meet up in love tonight.
If you like this podcast, throw us a like and subscribe to our channel. And please, leave comments or questions below. Maybe we'll answer them on the air next podcast. We are hosted on Podomatic.com. Our website is lionspridetavern.podomatic.com. Our podcast also airs on iTunes for Apple users, Google Play for Androids, and YouTube. Just search World of Warcraft Lions Pride Tavern Podcast. See you next week, and thanks for listening.